In every sport, every league, every fan base, you will always get varying opinions on the past, present, or future state of a team, player, or the league as a whole. And like every take, you're always going to get your occasional hot take, a take that is a bit unorthodox, unpopular, or a stretch that most people will probably laugh at. And while some hot takes prove to be true over time, there are of course the ones that are so blatantly ridiculous that you simply can't take the person making the claim seriously. And even though there are a lot of hot takes in basketball that would annoy us, there are also others that really make you question your original viewpoint and potentially shift your perspective. Either way though, the NBA is by no means immune to hot takes that come from the fans and media. So when I asked you all to provide your hottest NBA takes in a community post, I got some pretty good ones that I thought were worth reacting to, while others were downright ridiculous. So in this video, I'll be going through your takes and reacting to them, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to help the channel get to 100,000 subscribers, and in return, I'll be providing more NBA content like this. Now, I do these type of hot take videos on my Bulls channel, Bulls Central, and I realized I haven't done one in a very long time, almost since the beginning of starting this channel, and I enjoy doing these types of videos as it's a great way to get you guys involved in the content and where your heads are at regarding the current state of the league. And so I'll start with this one where we've got a take on Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, and it is that the Bucks are going to start exploring Giannis trades this offseason. To be honest, I don't even know if this is that hot of a take anymore, because outside of the Bucks making it out of the Eastern Conference and getting to the finals, which I don't think is likely, I don't see them winning a 7-game series against teams like the Cavs or the Celtics. But if the Bucks come up short yet again, or they even get bounced in the first round, they have to start seriously considering thinking about their future, because in reality, there isn't that much the Bucks can do to continue to improve their team around Giannis. They depleted mostly all of their draft capital. They're a second apron team, which offers them little to no flexibility in free agency or even trades for that matter, as they can't aggregate salaries in trade. Damian Lillard, their big win now piece they traded for in the summer of 2023, is going to be 35 by the start of next season. We don't know if he's going to be able to return for the rest of this year with that blood clot. They have distressed assets for guys who aren't on the best contracts, and their only player that has maximum value, Giannis, is now 30 years old, a player who could very well ask out in a trade if he's not seeing the vision of this team being a legitimate contender. So yes, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Bucks start exploring trade options for Giannis to kickstart a rebuild, as Giannis would get them a massive haul that would comprise of multiple first-round picks and young players, which the Bucks are completely bereft of at the moment, to go on a fire sale and then trade Dame, Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis, start fresh, and see where they can go from there. Because the longer they kick the can down the road and see if they can somehow turn things around and win one more championship around Giannis, the lower and lower his value is going to go as he ages. Same thing with Damian Lillard, and of course, they would especially lose leverage if Giannis makes it publicly known that he wants to be traded. They should aim to get ahead of it before it gets to that point. So yeah, in my view, this take actually isn't as hot as some might think. Next, we've got this one from Ghost Miko. The Nuggets are going to win the NBA Finals versus the Celtics. I'm a non-biased Bulls fan. Great win yesterday. I was yelling at home. I'm sure that was the epic half-court game winner over the Lakers, which I damn near lost it when I saw that go down. But anyway, as far as your take, it's funny because yes, this is a hot take, and it's a hot take that I completely agree with. So much so that weeks ago, I actually put a bet on the Nuggets to win the title, as the odds were just too good to pass up at that time. Look, I know everyone is looking at the Thunder, who I'm super high on, by the way, and have been ever since they were that up-and-coming team that went to the play-in just a couple years back, but I still think they aren't quite there yet from an experience factor to say that they're a shoo-in to come out of the West. I do think they'll go to the Western Conference Finals this year, but I do think that they'll fall to the Nuggets in that series, and honestly, it's because I'm not betting against the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, who is just so good. He knows how to win, he knows what it takes, and yes, I know the Nuggets failed in the postseason run last year, losing to the Timberwolves, but it's because they really underestimated their opponent, and Jamal Murray was especially bad in that series. And yes, the Nuggets this season at times have been inconsistent, up and down, but that's because as a team that has recently won a championship, they know the regular season is a grind. When to take your foot off the gas and when to turn things back up a notch. And because of their disappointment from last season, I fully expect the Nuggets to come out with a vengeance in the postseason and reclaim the title. And yes, that even means beating teams that are, on paper, better than them, like the Thunder and the Boston Celtics. Now, I'll stick with this topic for a little bit, as our next take from Army LT09 says Nikola Jokic is underrated. Yes, you can still be a 3-time MVP winner and be underrated. Coach Malone said it best, you cover the names and compare SGA versus Jokic's stats this year. You take Jokic 10 out of 10. but SGA will win because of voter fatigue. Here's the thing. I don't think Jokic is underrated. I mean, when you're more or less consensus the best player in the NBA, at worst top 2, you're not underrated. I do think he can be underappreciated at times for just how insanely gifted and talented he is, and just how much of his presence alone impacts winning and makes the Nuggets so much better, especially when you look at some of the advanced metrics and his on-off numbers, but he's not underrated. Now, as far as your comment comparing him to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't think anyone will deny that people are going to take Jokic over SGA in terms of who the better overall player is. That's a given. But the best player in the league hasn't always been the league MVP. Otherwise, you would see Michael Jordan have 12 plus MVP trophies, same with LeBron James. I do think voter fatigue is a thing, but I don't think it'll play into it that much this season because SGA has been insanely good, and his team is about to put up one of the best records we've seen in the NBA in a while since the Warriors' 73-9 season. That's a huge factor in determining the league MVP, is their overall team record and success, and SGA's team record is going to be even better than last season, and doing so as the leader of the team, leading the league in scoring on insane efficiency on 52, 37, 90 shooting splits. He'll win the MVP award, and in my opinion, it will actually be well deserved. Sticking with SGA now, we've got this one. SGA will go downhill from here, and the Thunder won't be able to retain their depth. I mean, what would give you any indication that he would go downhill from here? He's in the peak of his prime, playing the best basketball of his career. He's only 26. It's not like he's 30. If he was 30, okay, I could maybe see that. He rarely gets injured as well. I just don't see what rationale or justification you could come up with to say that. Oh, he's suddenly going to decline after this season. The only way that would happen is if he has a serious injury, but there's no way one could predict that, especially when he doesn't have a history of injuries. Now, as far as the Thunder not being able to retain some of their depth, yeah, that I could see, given the Thunder have a lot of cost-controlled contracts that are set to expire and due for extensions, like that of Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, or even Cason Wallace, who are still on their rookie scale deals. And it's going to be hard to pay the kind of money they're going to command when you already have SGA on a max deal. Isaiah Hartenstein, they're paying $30 million annually. They gave Alex Caruso an extension that kicks in next year, where he's going to be making close to $20 million. Lou Dort, also close to making $17 million. So yes, they are going to have to get creative. They are going to have to go into the luxury tax, but you have to do that when you have a team that you do that's a championship contender. And the other good thing about the Thunder is that they have all these draft picks that they can use down the line to trade and try and improve on the margins to give them more depth. So I can see the argument that they're going to be hard pressed to retain their depth, but I think they'll be fine given the assets they currently have available to them. Let's go with a historical one here. Bill Russell is in the GOAT conversation. The only people who boil his legacy down to just being on a good team and accumulating rings don't know their history. In terms of providing winning value, no one has ever done it better. Well, here's the problem with the GOAT debate in general, is one, there is an element of recency bias, and two, the further you go back in history, the less and less people actually watched some of these all-time great players. Like, I'm pretty sure 99%, if not all of you watching this video, never saw Bill Russell play when he was in the league. All we have to go off of are stats and accolades and very dated, low-quality highlights where Russell was dominating a bunch of guys significantly smaller than him. Here's the reason why Russell isn't in the GOAT conversation, though. Well, it's for a few reasons, but the main one is that Bill Russell was an incredible defensive player, the best in his era, still one of the greatest defenders of all time. But he was not as gifted on offense, still a great offensive player as well, but the GOAT conversations center more so around players who are elite on offense. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the best scorers, some of the best scorers in the history of the game. Now, whether that's fair or not is up for debate, but the fact of the matter is, offensive players will always get more love than those that are more strictly focused on the defensive side of the ball. That's why you see Wilt Chamberlain usually ahead of Bill Russell in all-time great lists, even though he doesn't have as many rings as Bill Russell does. Now, of course, the other factor for why Russell isn't in that conversation is, well, the rings are a bit inflated when you only had 8 or 9 teams in his era. Less competition then, whereas now you can only have one team out of 30 win the championship. And you were talking about winning impact and how no one has ever done it better. Well, if you use win shares as sort of a catch-all of an individual player's winning impact, he's actually 20th in league history in win shares, even behind guys like Moses Malone, Shaq, Oscar Robinson, Charles Barkley, even Reggie Miller. So I get what you're saying in that it's easy to say he clearly impacted winning better than anyone because he has more championships than any other player, but it is misleading given the era of the league for which he played. Then we've got this hot take. Clippers will win the chip this year. here. Not sure how you arrived at that conclusion. I will admit the Clippers have been much better than expected, way better than I had them in the preseason. And when Kawhi is healthy, I would say they're right there in being in the running for contention, but I'm not going to hold my breath out on Kawhi actually being healthy for the entirety of the playoffs. I just don't see it. And let's be real, even if Kawhi does in fact stay healthy and is playing at a high level in the postseason, I still don't see the Clippers having enough talent, depth, and offensive firepower to really get them out of the Western Conference, let alone winning the whole thing. To me, that is a massive stretch. But anyway, I'll end it there for this edition of Your Hot Takes. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing videos like this. You let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.